An army stands before the walls of Jericho. They carry no siege engines, no battering rams. They carry only a single golden chest. And as they circle the city, the air itself begins to hum with a terrible divine power. The walls do not fall to stone or steel. They are unmade by a sound, by a presence too pure for the mortal world to bear. Now imagine that chest, the Ark of the Covenant, the throne of God on earth, simply gone, wiped from the pages of history as if it never was. Was it merely lost, or was it recalled? We believe history is a story of things that happened, but the truest stories, the ones that hold the most power, are told in the empty spaces. They are found in the silence left behind by objects so potent their very absence reshapes the world. These are not just missing treasures. They are voids of power. And today we will unseal the case files on 5 of them, to ask not where they went, but why they had to vanish. Chapter 1. The Ark of the Covenant, the echo of God's wrath. We begin with the object that was less an artifact and more a direct line to the divine. You must understand, the Ark was not a symbol. It was a conduit. The tablets within it were not just laws, they were the literal transcribed will of a creator. To stand in its presence was to stand before a cosmic furnace, and those who touched it unworthily were not just struck down, they were erased. The Philistines captured it in battle, believing they had seized the god of their enemies. A fatal error. They placed it in the temple of their own deity, Dagon. The next morning their idol was shattered, prostrate before the ark. Plagues of tumors and panic scoured their cities until, in sheer terror, they sent it away. This was not a prize of war, it was a curse. A weapon that chose its own master. Its final canonical resting place was in the heart of Solomon's temple, veiled in the Holy of Holies. But when the Babylonians sacked Jerusalem in 587 BC, they catalogued every spoil of war, every golden shield and silver cup. Of the most sacred object in all of history, the Ark itself. Not a single word. It is simply gone. The chronicles offer no explanation, but was it taken by men? Or did it withdraw from a world no longer worthy of it? Was a power that could level mountains and speak prophecies ever meant to be a permanent fixture in the hands of mortals? Its disappearance wasn't a loss, it was a quarantine. The pact was broken, and with it, the age of direct intervention was over. Chapter 2. The Honjo Masamune, the soul of the sword. From the divine, we turn to the work of a mortal who touched perfection. Imagine you are a samurai in feudal Japan. You hold a blade forged not in anger, but in a state of prayerful meditation. This is the work of Goro Masamune, the greatest swordsmith to have ever lived. His blades were said to be a physical manifestation of peace and order. You've heard the legends. A Masamune blade, and one made by his rival, the violent Muramasa, are placed in a stream. Every leaf, every fish that floats toward the Muramasa is sliced in 2, but the leaves drift harmlessly around the Masamune. It refuses to cut anything that is innocent. This is not a weapon of slaughter. It is an instrument of justice. For centuries, the greatest of his creations, the Honjo Masamune, was passed down through the shogunate, the living soul of the warrior class. It saw dynasties rise and fall, a silent witness to the honor of an empire. Its last known owner was Tokugawa Ieyasu in 1945. After the surrender of Japan, the Allied forces demanded all swords be turned over, a choice that must have felt like sacrilege. Tokugawa obeyed the law. He handed the soul of his nation to a Sergeant Coldy Bimore of the 7th Cavalry. And then the trail goes cold. The sword simply vanishes from all records. Think of it. The weight of that moment, a symbol of perfect balance and warrior-like tranquility, is handed over in an act of total surrender. Was it melted down? Is it sitting in an attic somewhere in America, its divine purpose forgotten? Or did its essence, its purpose fulfilled, simply dissipate, unable to exist in a world that no longer understood its language of honor? The Honjo Masamune wasn't just a piece of steel, it was an ideal, and sometimes, when the world changes, ideals have no choice but to become ghosts. Chapter 3. The Library of Ivan the Terrible. The Forbidden Knowledge. Power can be a weapon, it can be a symbol, but its most dangerous form is knowledge. Now, travel to the cold heart of 16th century Moscow, to the court of a man whose name became a synonym for fear, Ivan the Terrible. He was a tyrant, a paranoid murderer, but he was also a scholar of profound intellect. And he was the keeper of a secret, a library, not just any library. This was the legendary Library of the Tsars, a collection of texts rumored to have been smuggled out of Constantinople before it fell, and even from the Library of Alexandria before that. These were not just scrolls of philosophy and history. The whispers spoke of something more. The last untranslated Gospels, Roman treatises on technologies lost to time, esoteric texts and grimoires detailing arts that the Church had spent centuries trying to burn from memory. It was said to contain the power to rule not just men, but the world itself. Even guarded it with a madman's jealousy. He is said to have hidden it in the labyrinthine tunnels beneath the Kremlin, blinding the architects so they could never reveal its location. Why? Why such secrecy? Was he protecting the books from the world? Or was he protecting the world from the books? After his death, the library vanishes. For centuries, explorers, archaeologists, even the Soviet government have torn Moscow apart searching for it. They have found nothing, not a single page. A collection of books doesn't just disappear, not unless it was never meant for our age. What if Ivan wasn't a jailer, but a warden, guarding a door to a kind of knowledge that our world was not, and is still not, prepared to wield? Its absence isn't a mystery, it is a seal upon a tomb of dangerous ideas. How could they have been so blind to the truth? They were looking for a library, but they should have been looking for a vault. Chapter 4. The Spear of Destiny, the fulcrum of fate. Some objects do not grant power. They are power, and none more so than the spear that pierced the side of Christ on the cross, the Spear of Destiny. The legend is as simple as it is absolute. Whoever possesses this spear holds the destiny of the world in their hands. The Roman soldier who wielded it, Longinus, became a convert. Constantine, the first Christian emperor, carried it into battle when he united the Roman Empire under the sign of the cross. Charlemagne, the father of Europe, was said to have owned it, and he died the very day he dropped it. For centuries it passed from one emperor to another, a bloody baton changing hands as the fate of the West was forged. Its last documented wielder was one of the darkest figures in history, Adolf Hitler. He saw it in a Vienna museum as a young man and became obsessed, believing it was his key to a 1,000-year Reich. He seized it the moment he annexed Austria, and for a time it seemed the legend held true. He was master of Europe. But in 1945, as the world closed in on him, American forces took the city of Nuremberg. On April 30th at 2:10 in the afternoon, they secured the bunker where the spear was kept. Less than 2 hours later, hundreds of miles away in Berlin, Hitler took his own life. The Americans found the spear. Or did they? The artifact they recovered is claimed by Vienna today, but its authenticity has been shredded by historians and scientific tests. The true spear, the one Hitler coveted, is nowhere to be found. Did it ever exist? Or is it a story we tell ourselves to make sense of the tidal waves of history? But perhaps that is the wrong question. What if the spear is a real object, a fulcrum for fate itself, a tool so powerful that it cannot be allowed to rest in mortal hands for long? It appears only to guide history through its most violent turning points, and then, when its work is done, it recedes back into the shadows. It is not lost, it is simply waiting. Chapter 5. The Antikythera Mechanism. The Ghost in the Machine. Our final artifact is not a weapon nor a holy relic. It is something more terrifying. It is a glimpse of a future that died before it was born. In the year 1900, sponge divers discovered a Roman shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera. Amidst the statues and pottery, they found a corroded lump of bronze. For decades, it sat in a museum, dismissed as a curiosity. But when scientists finally looked inside with X-rays, what they found was impossible. It was a machine of breathtaking complexity, filled with interlocking gears and dials. It was an astronomical computer, capable of predicting eclipses, tracking the movements of the sun, moon, and planets, and even marking the dates of the Olympic Games. It was a map of the heavens crafted in bronze, and it was 2,000 years old. To find this object is like finding a jet engine in the tomb of Tutankhamun. The level of mechanical and mathematical genius required to build it would not be seen again on this planet for another 1,500 years. This shatters our entire understanding of the ancient world. Why did this technology not flourish? Who made this, and what else did they build? It's the ghost of a different timeline, a world where the Industrial Revolution might have happened in the age of Caesar. The mechanism is not lost, but its meaning is. It is the sole survivor of a forgotten branch of human history. Was there a fire, a flood, a deliberate suppression of a science deemed too dangerous? We will never know. It is a silent testament to the terrifying truth that progress is not a straight line, that entire futures can be conceived, created, and then lost to the sea. The silence that followed its discovery was heavier than any mountain, so we are left with 5 empty spaces in our history. An ark that carried the voice of God, a sword that embodied the soul of a warrior, a library that held forbidden knowledge, a spear that commanded destiny, and a machine that mapped the cosmos. We search for them as if they are treasures to be found, puzzles to be solved. But this investigation has revealed a different truth. The pattern is too clear. These artifacts were not lost to carelessness or time. They were removed. They represent a form of power, divine, moral, intellectual, and technological, that humanity proved it could not handle. They were withdrawn from the world when our ambition outgrew our wisdom. Their disappearance is not a mystery to be solved. It is a lesson to be understood. These stories echo through eternity as a warning that the greatest powers are not meant to be possessed, and that the line between humanity and its own oblivion is thinner than we could ever dare to imagine. The empty spaces in our history are not silent. They are screaming at us, and we are still not listening.